What would you do tomorrow if you had a life-altering event that forced you to quit your current job? If you had to do something else, something different, what would it be right now, tomorrow, if that happened? Today's guest was a skateboarder. It was his whole life until he was hit by a car, and it all ended suddenly. And today we find out how this life-changing incident launched him into a career in fly fishing in the outdoors, and now how he owns one of the most well-known fly fishing brands in Canada. This is the Wet Fly Swing Podcast, where I show you the best places to travel to for fly fishing, how to find the best resources and tools to prepare for that big trip, and what you can do to give back to the fish species we all love. Hey, how's it going? This is Dave. I'm host of the Wet Fly Swing Podcast. I've been fly fishing since I was a little kid. I grew up around a little fly shop and have created one of the largest fly fishing podcasts in this country. I've also interviewed more of the greatest fly anglers than just about anyone in the world. You may have already heard of Hooké. The main man behind Hooké is Fred Campbell. He's been creating this brand focused on selling clothing, outdoor gear, fly fishing gear for quite a while now. His roots are tied directly into conservation and helping tell the story of Indigenous people around the country. And today, Fred's going to take us on a tour around Quebec and what you can expect if you want to head out there for some fishing and target Atlantic salmon, brook trout, Arctic char, and many other species. We dig into it today. You find out what Quebec's all about in this area of the world. It's a massive area. It's about the size of the entire East Coast, maybe a third of the United States. So we're going to be jumping into this today. So if you're thinking about Eastern Canada, Quebec, Labrador, then we've got you covered. Plus, Fred's got a bunch of great content around his TV series and all sorts of other good ones. So let's get this one going. I feel like Fred is like a brother from another mother. Here we go. Fred Campbell from Hooké.ca. How you doing, Fred?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying it because fishing season just started last weekend. So I think it's a good time. Like, we're out of the winter and back on the river.
Perfect. Yeah. So we're getting close to what is May, I guess. Yeah, it's May. So it's going to be May, June. The summer's going to come quickly. What is going on right now? Yeah, I guess this is is Atlantic salmon the hot thing right now, or what's happening?
Yeah, for some people, it's going to be like the trout and the steelhead in Ontario. And for me, it's also like the turkey hunting, which is the only time of year where you can actually do both. Like, you can go turkey hunting and trout fishing, which is good. But Atlantic salmon is going to come end of May, beginning of June. And some people are enjoying the black salmon, we call. There's salmon coming downriver, but I'm not sure what to think about that. They're like, I don't think they need some more.
These are fish. These are Atlantic salmon that are already spawned and coming back out.
Yeah, they are already spawned. They're all skinny, and I think they need the strength to go back. And now anyway. I don't judge, but it's not a fishery. I think for that fish that is benefiting the fish. Yeah.
No, we have in our area steelhead the same thing. They come up. Well, sometime for summer steelhead, right? They come in and they hold over all the way until the next year in the spring, or and by that time they're pretty. They've been living off their fat reserves for the most part.
Yeah, it's just not. They're just not what they.
No.
You want to catch them when they're coming up, not when they're going down.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. You want to give them the strength to go back home.
No, it's funny. Well, we were just listening to an episode, Topher Brown, which is going to be coming out soon. Well, it'll be out right now. And he was talking about breaking down Atlantic salmon and just all the different things to realize about, how you catch one. And he said he went up there, I think up near your area, somewhere out of Quebec. I think it was up further north. But, I think last year he got skunked. 14 days of skunked fishing. But the year before, he had this greatest Atlantic salmon on the same area. What's your take on that? Do you see that? Lots of ups and downs with Atlantic salmon?
Of course, because you can. The thing is with Atlantic salmon, you can be the worst fisherman on earth and you're going to catch one, and you can be the best fisherman on earth and you're not going to catch one. So that's where there is technique, but there is a lot of luck. And I've seen people go for 10 years without catching one. So
wow,
that's what it's a mysterious fish. Like when you go fish for trout, mainly you're trying to send out some way of imitating an insect, a streamer. They're eating. But the Atlantic salmon, they're not eating, and nobody has ever been able to reproduce the same thing time after time. So I think that's what makes it so fun. But I mean, it's all about where you go and when you go. But even then, when you think you got it all right, you can get skunked and get eat shit for a couple of years. So the story you just told me, I mean, I heard so many, and like people have been going on for years and years. So that's what's fun about it. It's a different fish, and I think it's been going on for so long, and I love it too. I love all the other fish, but that one is not eating, and so there's all the art form behind the fly. What are you actually imitating?
Right.
You can do what you want. So there's a lot of art, like through the casting, through the flies, and through the imagination of why he's taking the fly. So that's why I
Exactly.
love it so much. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you remember you talked about the guy, goes 10 years without a fish. Do you remember the first Atlantic salmon you caught?
Yeah, I remember then. Yeah, it actually was in northern Quebec, and it was a contract I had with this guy who was selling Remington. He was like he had an agency selling like outdoor hunting and fishing gear, and he wanted to make a show. That was like 17 years ago.
Hmm.
I went on the Leaf River, and I saw him catch some Atlantic salmon. Like, wow, what's that? He handed me the rod, and he showed me how to do it, and magically I caught a salmon, and I was like, whoa, man, this. I think I want to find a way to do more of this. But I
Yeah.
was like, how am I going to do it? And also a way to go back up north, but they were very expensive trips. So
Oh yeah.
instead of telling myself like this is for rich people, I said, how can I turn my business around? Like, what's my skill set? So I said, my camera and my photography and my videography is probably the way I could pay my way back up here. And I guess it ended up working out. Like instead of saying it's inaccessible, I said,
Make it work.
how can I reach and come back here? So making good friends and everything. But yeah, it was a long time ago, my first one, and there's been a lot of action since then, and it's been a good time.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and I think, and that's a good part of your story is that you realize some of these places. Yeah, it's not cheap to go up to Labrador or these places and fish, and they're some of the most expensive trips in the world, really. And but you realize like, hey, I can do this. I can change. Maybe use a business, create a business out of it. And the hook which you built is amazing because I've heard about it. Over the last few years. I don't know how long, but you're definitely out there. And I want to hear how you put that together. So let's go back maybe I always like to kind of go back to that first fly fishing trip or the first time you kind of got into fly. Do you have to go way back? Was it that Atlantic salmon or do you go back further?
Yeah, for sure. That's good. We can go way back because I think it's in that. That's what made Hooké come to life. Is back to the roots. It's like my grandfather used to be a fly fisherman, and my parents were raised on the countryside, like on farms and kind of a sustainable way of life. Garden, hunting, fishing, and like raising cattle and all that. So my grandfather used to fly fish, and he brought me down the rivers in canoe, and where there were these little streams coming into the river, and where the water was cold, he used to cast a fly in there and catch some trout. So that was my first introduction to it. I was trying it with him. I wasn't super good, but then after that, when I became like a teenager, when I was like 12 and I was always trout fishing with my buddies in the lakes around here in Quebec. Not yet Atlantic salmon because for me, like I didn't know about it. I don't come from a family who fish for Atlantic salmon, and it was more like it seemed to be something that was for like business or older, richer people. And I think that's what also made me want to get involved in it to change that perspective. But my first fly fishing was when I was a kid, like I'd say 6 years old.
Hmm.
Then I got hooked to that, and I grew into it, but not like as a super geeky. We had this fly rod, and we used to go like we could troll on the lake, we could cast on the lake when we saw the trout jump. But I hadn't been yet introduced to all this craziness that was possible and these big fish. And that came just a little bit later, like when I was 20 years old. Then I started to look into it, and because I got into other sports before, like the skateboarding and the
Oh
snowboarding
yeah.
took a big part of my life. So yeah, but it's always been there. This desire for the outdoors and the fishing. It's been there since I guess since I was born, because my parents that's what they did.
They did. That's so cool. Yeah. So, and was that your father or your grandfather that fly fished?
My father was more. I think from my father, what I gained is more the artistic side. He loved the outdoors, but he wasn't a fisherman.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather on my mother's side is really the one who took me on board and took the time. And then my mother's brothers are
Hmm.
super hardcore
Oh, they
fishermen,
are
and
mother's brothers.
yeah, they didn't leave the countryside. But my mom and dad, they came to the city to study, and we were born like in Quebec City, and all their brothers and sisters stayed in the countryside. So I had a mix of both, so that's what made me become like, yes, the outdoors, but also have a great business side to bring both together. Right?
That's really cool. Yeah. And what was your grandfather's name?
Benoit.
Ben.
Benoit Pomerleau. Yeah, very French. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right. That's the cool thing about Quebec. I think that the more I talk to people up there, I feel like it's like my, kind of the mother from another brother sort of thing, or brother from another mother, right? It's like I talk to people, and it's really cool. It's this unique part of the world where obviously you've got the multiple languages, but just I don't know, the people, the politics. It seems like it's different. Do you feel like Quebec is just totally different than a lot of the rest of Canada?
Yeah, I'm always like, was it for me an advantage or disadvantage? But to tell you the truth, my father, Campbell, there was a small English community outside of Quebec. And if I wouldn't have been raised and taught the English, I think it would have really affected like who I was and what I was able to do in my life. So I'm glad that I have both, but to have been raised in a French community and speak only French, I think it cuts off a lot of opportunity because it's not that common. Like we think it's big, but when you go outside of Quebec, there's not a lot of French speaking people. So it's unique, it's fun. There's a lot of like accents from like if you've been to Gaspé and you go to New Brunswick and like you just go a couple like it's just 100 kilometers or 50 kilometers, the town beside it's a different
Oh,
accent.
wow.
It's a different way. So there's a charm to it, but I believe in like the bilingual side of it because if I would be only a French speaking business or me, like I would go out of Quebec and have no communication skills. And when I go down to like Argentina and Chile and Patagonia, I don't speak like Spanish. I'm like, man, there's such a barrier when you don't understand what somebody's trying to tell you. So I'm glad that like I was able to travel and speak fluid English and French for sure. It's cool. That's why the name of the business it's Hooké. I took the hook, but I use the like there are accents in the French language, so it's a you call it a accent aigu. So I put the accent on the hook just to show like we are French and French Canadian. That's what I want to put forward. Like we are proud to be from Quebec and proud to be French Canadian. So we are a good mix of both.
I love that. No, it's great because it's a great just from a marketing perspective, it's different, and that's the number one thing, right? You never want to be the same. If it was just Hook, it'd be like, oh, that's kind of boring. But because it's
Yeah,
Hook A, it's totally different and gets you thinking.
the business came about because of the name. Because actually we were just a crew, and said let's find a name for our crew. I like the whole story. It was more like from my skateboarding and snowboarding background. We used to be like crews and just hang out. And then when I discovered fly fishing and Atlantic salmon, and that I saw there was like practically nobody doing it, and we ended up like fly fishing a group of like 5 or 6 hardcore anglers. And then I said, hey guys, man, let's make a name for our crew, and I'll make films and we'll put that online. So if the name would have come out differently, like I don't know,
Yeah.
fish bombs or what, then it wouldn't have had the potential. Like just chatting, we came up with that name, and then I said, "Oh, there's something here." And since because of all my marketing and production background, I just said, "It's time to try it. Like,
Yeah.
let's build a brand." Yeah.
That's it. So that's how it happened. At some point, you were just slowly getting more into it, and you felt like you wanted to go all in on the fly fishing. Is that how that worked?
Well, the whole story is that like when I was 16, now I'm 40, I'll be 43 in a month. So when I was 16, I started a production company called Fokus because I was hit by a car and I couldn't skateboard anymore, and I was transitioning from high school to like CEGEP, and then I said I'll go in business administration and I'll start a production company, and I know all the good skateboarders and snowboarders. I had a little bit of money from my car accident, so I started to film that, and I ended up being pretty good at it, like filming, editing. But that was like there was internet, but barely internet. We were we were
Right.
filming on tapes and putting them into the computer, and
Like the early 2000s, something like that?
yeah, I in '99, and then then my first films were in VHS, and then I started to tour, started to make like launch events, went through Canada, and our name got known. I got some employees, and got really involved and good in like. It was also the time when there was like a music video clips and stuff like that.
Yeah, MTV.
Yeah, we used our skill set from the skateboarding. Like we were able to like roll super fast and hold cameras in our hands and be super dynamic. And we brought that to the production world, and our name came out, and it was a crazy run. Like for like from 99 to 2012, so that's like 12, 13 years. That was Focus Productions, and we toured the world with Red Bull, did some
Oh wow.
huge contracts, and yeah, really really big productions. Like it was a big business, like Focus Productions, and we did like really good branding, imaging, marketing, like film production, TV commercials, music videos.
Jeez.
And then I just got like totally tired of it, like the touring with Red Bull in those big events, also doing all the audio visual work was hard. And then that's when it all happened. I went down to the Gaspé, and some people said you should meet this crew. Like they're super cool. They like to fish. And I said, oh yeah. So I went there, and since I knew how to film, I just filmed it and I put it online. And that was the beginning of Vimeo. Like 2012, you go back, it was kind of like the beginning. Instagram, right? Not the beginning, but it wasn't that big. And then our films like got shared, and everybody saw him. And then I said, how can I monetize this so I can have the budget to go back and make more films? So then we found the name, and then I said, if I could create like some clothes and dress everybody up in a certain way where the only way they could buy it is through me and my website. I know how to build a website, I know how to build an image, and there's a niche right here. Something beautiful that right now I don't think the young generation of outdoor people have seen this. And then that's how it all started. And all my business background I put to work and tried to hire the best team in manufacturing,
Yep.
marketing, promotion, and it's just been so fun. And we got like 2 years in, we signed a super big contract. Like we got a TV show
Oh
to
wow.
air, and we called it Hooké, and we did 5 years. So that was like my full marketing team. All my budget was right there. So like we kind of were creating the clothes like you would in a film, like a like I could design clothes so to dress up like the people in my show. And so when people watch the Hooké show, then they could go on the website and buy it, and then retailers came on board. So it's just to say, like, you never know what's going to happen, but one thing led to the other.
Waters West Fly Fishing Outfitters is your go-to resource for swung fly techniques, two-handed casting, and anadromous fish. Find out why Waters West has built a cult-like following around their fly tying materials and why they are the go-to resource for the OP and beyond. You can head over to wetflyswing.com/waterswest right now to check in with Ed and Kyle and get all geared up to get on the water. Drift along the current with us for a moment. Ever wondered where to find unparalleled fly fishing gear? In a world full of ordinary, Jackson Hole Fly Company stands out, merging innovation with affordability. They've redefined the online fly shop experience with their own line of high-quality rods, reels, accessories, and tools. Not to mention over 1,000 hand-tied fly patterns. Discover fly fishing gear that doesn't compromise, impeccable quality yet surprisingly affordable. Discover the magic of Jackson Hole Fly Company. And remember, every great story starts with a cast. Visit Jackson Hole Fly Company today. Did you have this plan all mapped out, or did it just kind of come as you went? You're like, oh, wow, this is working great, and then you dig into that?
Well, let's say in 1999, my first idea would have been to do that. It would have failed because I would have had no experience. But like 13 years of building brands, building like images and running with really big companies, learning all about how to like put some products to market, build websites, how to engage with the audience.
Yep.
And like then I said, man, like this is it. Like nobody's dialing into this. Like let's go deeper into it. And I always believe where there is nobody, there is opportunity.
Uh-huh.
So for me, that was the opportunity. It's like to go into a niche, but go really deep into it, and then see what happens. So that's how it rolled out. And I think it's my understanding of like a production that really helped, because what I was seeing is like, why is this space like the hunting, fly fishing world here? I said, why is this space nobody is addressing it like with super high quality films, images, showcasing something else than going out there to catch and kill. So yeah, it was great. And today, like, I'm happy about it because there was a lot of decisions that we made along the way that, like, to start a brand and do like recycle clothing and
Mm.
like sell a shirt right off the bat, $200. And I was telling my designer, I said, man, he said, you're going to thank me in the long run. So that we're talking about 10 years ago. And now today we are fully involved, like in conservation, like wildlife. We give back a lot of money and we do great collaborations. But our skill set is to bring in a new clientele, a new generation, and they come in on board with conservation in mind. So I
Mm.
think that's great. It's not like you take a hardcore redneck hunter
Yep.
and you create another one. It's like it's just gonna make it worse. So we're
Right.
trying to bring like somebody who likes the outdoors and maybe what he's seen from the hunting and fishing world is doesn't talk to him. We show him another side to it, and then we create a community of it's just there are other brands that are doing it too. Like I've always been inspired by Yvon Chouinard and everything he did, and
Yeah.
like man, it's like you look at him and you're like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
So you see that when you, and we've talked about Patagonia a lot because, you know, of what they've done, but is that one of the brands, you know, I mean, are there more than just Patagonia? Are there other brands you look at like out there doing this great stuff?
Well, it's a different way, like for sure, like in terms of inspiring people and like the person and the business is Yvon Chouinard and Patagonia for sure.
Yeah.
Last year, I was sitting down in Labrador and I see somebody pass beside me. He's got the same voice,
Oh,
everything,
wow.
and presents himself. And he's in back of me and he's presenting himself to the woman who's managing like the when you arrive at the lodge. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Yvon," and I went to my buddy and I'm like, "He speaks like him. He looks like
That's
him.
him.
I think it's him." And he's like, "No, what is he doing here?" I said, "I don't know, man, but it's worth like just going and see." And then we had a really good chat. And his parents were actually born from in Quebec. Yeah.
Really? So you chatted with him?
Oh yeah, for sure. And like he was like, he's really loving Atlantic salmon fishing and everything. It was just like sometimes things happen. I said I thought that moment was great, and I hope to see him again. But he was my full inspiration, and to this day is still the same. Like he's a badass entrepreneur,
He is.
hardcore, stayed true to everything that he always
Yeah.
wanted to do, and he loves fly fishing, like for real.
Exactly. He loves it. Yeah, that was when we did that interview with him. It was the same thing. It was kind of surreal sitting there across, you know, chatting with him, but you know, you could just everything that's his mind doesn't waver, you know. He's always thinking about, you know, the conservation. That's the number one thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like anybody, like if you look at him, and it's like to stay true to who you are and what you believe. That's him. It's like hardcore doesn't care about a lot of things, but what he decided to care about, he's caring about it a lot, and he brought all his business into it, and it's really great.
Yeah.
And after that, other brands for different reasons, like a brand like Filson inspired me for like the type of clothing they were doing. Fajal Raven, like for the like I've been to Sweden a lot of times, and everything they do, I'm like, I find the creative and perfection side of things is always there. It's just like even a brand like IKEA,
Yep.
the way they map out like how to build everything and the size of the business they build. And yeah, those are kind of I wanted to build a hybrid between like those three brands, and it's a lot of work. But today I'm happy, like it's growing for real, and we're in a really good position, and I'm able to meet with the people that inspire me, and
Mm-hmm.
now be on also some board on the board of directors of different
Oh, wow.
conservation organizations. So yeah, it comes back to having a like looking at somebody and say, I want to be like that person. I want to do something great. And if it wasn't like Yvon Chouinard, he knows he's inspired a lot of people. But
Yeah.
when I said I want to, I feel like that I'm doing something similar to what he's doing, and being an entrepreneur without wanting to be one. So
Right.
yeah, no, it's fun. Like now, I'm in a great place because in the beginning you struggle, like you don't have any money to do what you dream of doing.
No.
And today, like we build a brand and we can do like invest in our dreams and have the means of our ambitions.
That's so cool. What do you think? What would be a couple staying on this branding thing here? And I know there's definitely people in our audience, not a very big percentage though. Actually, there's only about I think 10% or less of people listening are actually have businesses in fly fishing, right? So most people are just normal people, right? Just fishermen. But for those small group that are into it, what would be a couple of tips for them to help? If they had a brand they
Well,
wanted to, yeah,
yeah, first of all, when you're looking into like transferring your passion into a business, you need to understand what comes with it. It's like more work, less time on the river most of the
right,
time. And when it's fly fishing, you need to really understand that it's a super niche industry.
yeah,
And if you're gonna sell products, like, and you're gonna have to use like fly shops to be your main source of income, and then the online, it's a hard world, and there is competition in there, and you need to be able to go out of that space also, and create something that you're going to be able to engage with the people who don't know about fly fishing. So I think that was the scary part was like, I know the numbers of like the other businesses and how it works. So I was like, ooh, that's not that big. Like for here, like in our province, like how a fly shop is going to work most of the time. If there's 10 fly fishing brands, in terms of rods and reels, and he's got $100 to invest every year, he's going to give every band like $10 because they want to offer the whole, like the whole scope of the different brands who are all good and have different rods and reels. So it's hard because it's small, and like,
yeah,
if you're doing something like, for say here for Atlantic salmon, we're selling like 16,000 licenses
yeah,
about. And if you look at what it would be if you're doing fishing things, it's like a million licenses.
right.
Like, so that's the industry of fly fishing. It's growing, it's
That's
small,
tiny.
and if you're going to build a business in there, you need to understand what you're going to do different from the others. And I always believe you need to be the best in the world in something to
Yeah,
be able to achieve it. So for us, it was like videography and cinematography. Of course, the rest, we produce quality clothing and all of that. But I wasn't the first one to do a quality shirt, so it's a hard space, but there is space. But like, the big payday is gonna be hard. Like, and you're gonna need to be able to make sure that you're different from the others. And what makes you different? So for us, it was that. As soon as I realized like that the fly shop market was tiny, I said I need to get my brand beside like the other and into the outdoor space. And I want like the people to see my brand. Even though we're talking about fly fishing, we're talking about the great outdoors. I want somebody to wear my brand even though he's not fly fishing.
yeah,
So that's where we got like a lot of momentum to have a lot of floor space beside like North Face, Patagonia, Hooké. So
right.
considered an outdoor clothing brand and not a fly fishing brand. But it's the same like for Patagonia. It's got a small fly fishing segment with the waders and the jackets. But if it was only that, we would have never been able to give all that money to conservation. It's too small market.
Yeah, it's too small. That's right. No, that's smart. So
Yeah.
you're pretty much your clothing is going out to kind of everybody. And I'm on the your site now, just looking at it. Yeah, you have a ton of clothing, and looks like you guys cover pretty much everything.
Yeah, for now it's really good. Like, we got into the kids, and then we got into the great outdoors. And the thing is, also, it's where I thought there needed a change. Hunting also, like, hunting can be super redneck, super hardcore. But when I started, and I met with people, and I told them I'll never do a film and showcase an animal's suffering, and they're like, if you don't put the kill shot, you're never gonna make it. I said,
Yeah.
watch me do it, because you're not gonna make it like in a couple of years.
Oh, right. So you're saying basically they're saying, yeah, you have to have the kill shot, but you're saying you don't need a kill shot on there.
Yeah, I was doing a film, and it's like I told everybody, don't worry about like zooming in on the kill shot.
See, I totally agree with you on that because I don't get into the hunting stuff. I am a hunter, but I don't get into all the hunting videos. But when I see them and I see that stuff, it's like, right, whenever they get to that kill shot, I'm always like, man, I don't really need to see that. I feel like I just like the whole experience, but I don't need to see the animal getting shot and dying, right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, for sure. And then people said you're never gonna make it, and I was in Toronto like a month ago showcasing one of my films, and what differentiated us is like we're talking about going out there and not about killing the animal, but about like hunting in the right way, hunting where there is place to harvest, and you're not going to hunt for the like the trophy hunting and all of that. It's a way to go and get your own meat where you know where it comes from. But like, I mean, shooting an animal and watching it die. And I remember it was like 12 years ago. I watched this documentary, forget the name who it was, and he used to go out and film hunts, but he never filmed the animal dying and all that. And he said, in terms of a camera shot, and he said a shot of an animal dying is a cheap shot. So it can go both ways.
Yeah. Well, you know why that is? I think it's mainly because, and we experience this, is that when when you shoot an animal, it's like this kind of a personal thing. You're killing something, but you're doing it for food. And when you're watching somebody on video, you don't have that same connection. So it's kind of weird to watch it. Do you think that's kind of what it's about?
Yeah, it's just about like that. I find for me hunting, it's about like me wanting to eat the wild meat that I harvest, tracking the animal, putting in the work, but it's not about. There's a challenge to it for sure. When you go fishing, it can be about catching the fish, but there's so much more around it, and I don't want to put the emphasis on the animal suffering. I
Yeah.
want to put the emphasis on the fact that we all have the opportunity to go and get our own meat and learn how to like harvest it, do it in the right way. And when you think about it, it's like, even for me, I have like the Crohn's disease, and I
Mm.
need to eat like wild good meat. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been like 13 years. I harvested deer and one moose, and my kids, everybody, that's what they know about. And I truly believe that it's the best meat out there, and it depends on how you're going to do it. So I don't want to like participate in creating like people who shoot and they're like, yeah, I
Right.
got it,
I
man.
know.
But I don't have anything against it, but I'm like, it's not going to help the planet if we.
No.
And think about it. Let's say fly fishing, we weren't allowed to release the fish,
Yeah.
and they would die. Like, I don't know if we, in this new generation, if we would do it. Like, how long could we fish? A good day of fishing, like, I've already went to a river and caught a couple of Atlantic salmon, but if I couldn't release it, I couldn't, like, the season would just be over. It's like, let's say I just come back from turkey hunting. We're allowed two turkeys. The first morning you hunt two turkeys and you don't go hunting anymore. Well, you can still go and like take some photos and enjoy it. But what about fishing? If you had one tag for a salmon
That's it.
and you go on your first day, your first cast, you catch it, the season is like 120 days.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be
Oh,
allowed
wow.
to go back anymore.
That would suck.
So it's a funny way to look about it, because the opportunity to release is there. It's proven that it works if we do it good. So we can fish like all the time without harming. Well, of course, we're harming it a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, when I fish, I don't see like fish floating around and dying fish. So we can show people how to release well, how to respect the fish, and in hunting, it's the same. If you're hunting in a place where there is not a lot of wildlife, then and you can understand it, then you don't go and hunt there. You wait till the populations go back up,
Yeah.
then you go hunt there. But it's a different mindset, because once you shoot your arrow or pull the trigger, there's no turning back. You need to make sure you made a nice, clean shot.
Exactly. I love it. I think we're on the same track, and I totally agree. I'm just looking. I'm on your website here, and just to give a shout out, because your clothing, this is pretty awesome. I haven't really looked at all the clothing, but I'm looking at the M's Tech Fleece hoodie, and it's a pretty awesome design. It looks different. First of all, this is one thing I want to get a hold of, but it looks like maybe there's some out of stock. But we'll put a link out to that in the show notes. How do you, on your type of clothing, do you, like, say on that shirt? Do you know which one I'm talking about? That hoodie?
Yeah, there's that hoodie, and there's the one that is the catch and release smock. Yeah, if you look at that, like, it's the same pattern, but I was always getting my sleeves wet.
Okay.
So I went back to the office with the designers. Can you make me a shirt, like quality shirt, where when I dip my sleeves in the water, they
That's it.
just don't get wet and they dry out? So the process behind every like product, it's that I'm out there. I do 100 days a year in the wild. I could do more, but I've been like, I try to restrict myself from November 15th to April 24. I don't travel. I'm at home with the kids, the family, and I'm in my business planning, working. And then as soon as the opener, then that's my 100 days are calculated in there. And I always come back with new ideas, but
Yeah.
sometimes I want to go too fast, so that we're not putting to market like technical crazy clothes, because the technical clothes that we put to market are the ones that we've had the time to test,
Yep.
and we know that they're really good.
They work.
And we're a lifestyle brand, a quality lifestyle brand that has like a eco-friendly clothes. But at the end of the day, I'm working on some crazy stuff like technical suits to go into the wild for the hunting, for the fishing. But
Sure.
like if you look also at my bibs and my new guide jacket, my rain jacket, we also try to be unique and have a different style. So if you wear my clothes, like I said, you'll see a mix of like Filson,
Mm-hmm.
Patagonia, and back to the roots heritage. And so now I'm really happy about it, because like before I used to see somebody wearing my gear and I would I would imagine I'm gonna say hi.
Yeah.
But today, man, it's like sometimes I'm anywhere I'm in an airport around the world, I'll see somebody with it. And here in Quebec, it's just like
There's a
all
lot.
over the place. Yeah.
Oh, really? So you see over Quebec, you see Hooké stuff everywhere.
If you open the TV and you watch it,
Oh,
it's
that's amazing.
all. Yeah. We are also like pride of the province in terms of a business.
Oh, right. How does that feel on your end when you look around in your home, your home province, and everybody's wearing your stuff?
Well, I love it, because like Quebec in Canada is super wild, and we were actually able to bring a new perspective into all this outdoor exploration. And I think that the roots of our province comes from all this. Like the first people that were here were the indigenous people, and they were living off the land. And
Mm-hmm.
I was able to, and I wanted to put that forward. Like, let's respect the land, let's bring back the culture, let's go back to the roots. And at the same time, the province, like we were on TV also, and a lot of times, and interviews and stuff, and this sort of like dragon den thing, and it just blew up, and the community embraced our brand, and
Hmm.
it really helped a lot. And now it's fun, because I get also to I do a lot of conferences, and I'm able to inspire other people to follow their dream. And even where you think there is no opportunity, if you do it right, it might turn out to work. And when I started Hooké, everybody told me, "You're crazy, man. That's never gonna work. Like,
That's
nobody's doing that thing.
yeah.
What are you gonna?" And I said, "That's why I'm doing it."
Exactly. Do the opposite. Yvon Chouinard, he said he's done the opposite of what everybody else has done.
Yeah, and now like Atlantic salmon, especially instead of as being like a rich man's unaccessible sport, the rivers are filled with young people,
Oh, right on.
women, children, men, and we created a new space. And the province beat the records in attendance on the rivers, and they were believing that when they would install catch and release, nobody would fish anymore. And
Right.
now catch and release, it's not like 100% on every river mandatory. You can keep a grill here and there, but almost everywhere, and they're beating records of attendance. So
That's it.
that's what I think is good, and that's why I tell everybody, look at what we did. And if you got an idea and somebody's telling you it's never going to work, well, it doesn't mean it's not possible. Just make sure you're in a niche and nobody else is doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I think that's a good sign. I think when everybody's telling you not to do it, or you feel like you got a lot of imposter syndrome, that's your way of saying like that's the thing you need to do. Do you feel like that's true when you got all the pressure and everybody's against it? That maybe that's the idea.
Of course, my life has always been that, to be the odd one that stands out. And if you tell me I'm not able to, I'm gonna meet you like again, like in a couple of years, and I'm gonna remember what you told me, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you thanks for telling me that. And then it's great. It's like in sports. If somebody brings you down, you're gonna get so much energy to show those people that you can do it. And me, it was all been I don't come from a business world. I come from like a family that we didn't miss anything, but I was definitely not raised with a lot.
Yeah.
But I know my parents love me, and I was put into the right direction.
Yeah.
But when I look at what I was able to do, it was just from like pure like eating skateboarding that
Yeah.
makes you strong. to land, you're always falling, you're always getting up, falling, getting up. It's the hardest sports. So I learned how to fall and get back up, and it's been like that all my life. And like even today, we're managing insane growth, and it's not easy like to work with a lot of people and to make it in the business world. But I get the chance to go back on the river and relax there. But when you make your passion your job, it's like almost if you're never working. But there's
Right.
a downside to it because you get all mixed up.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, you do.
yeah,
I hear you. No, I'm same thing. We're heading out to Virginia, next week, and I'm not going to be doing a lot of fishing. I'm going to be hanging out with people that listeners, right? That are fishing. But it's still, it's fun to be out there, right? To be experiencing it, even though it's not like just me fishing the whole time. So no, I get it. Well, let's. I want to hear a little bit about the fishing on your area, and I guess Quebec in general. Maybe take us there. I know there's a few species that you love to target. Atlantic salmon, brook trout, and the other one I think people don't think as much about is Arctic char. Talk about that first on Quebec. What are some of those species up there? If somebody was heading to Quebec to fish, what would they be going for?
well, I would say like first of all, if you go in the non-fly fishing side of it, there's the walleye like that.
Mm.
I don't.
So you've never gone for walleye. So is that a species you can't catch on a fly?
You can,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's different. It's like lake trout, walleye, those fish that are down deep,
Oh, they're down
and
deep.
you're gonna catch
Right.
them with a fly. But I mean, it's more like a lifestyle for spinning and jigging.
Yeah. It's not like fishing for muskie or something like that or pike.
Yeah, it's not like a surface fish. But if you go into fly fishing, like right now, I'm in Stoneham, just on the outskirts of the city, and there is a reserve called the Parc des Laurentides, and that's like trout. There's a lot of brook trout. Like the brook trout fishing is crazy, but it's mostly in lakes. So if you like to have your 2 feet in the water, you need to go up north. And so there's a lot of people doing like brook trout fishing out of boats, fly fishing. And then you would have, of course, it's the Atlantic salmon. We got over 100 rivers
Wow.
in the province, and that's crazy.
That
So
is crazy.
it's becoming more and more popular. So you can just take your car and watch the levels of the water, who's catching fish, what's happening, and just like you could do your whole summer just running around. It's a complicated fishery because you also have all those draws, preseason draws, private
Oh,
water,
right.
public water. So when you don't know about it, it's pretty hard. But once you get the hang of it and you've been out on the different rivers and you know how to apply to the draws and you know the lodges and the people who have access to private pools, you can really, really have a good time. And when it's good, like in the Gaspé, sometimes it's good on like on all the rivers, but you need rain, you need cold water, and you need the fish to be to be there.
Cooperative.
Yeah, and then you have all of like the pike, Bay James, and you just go before you go like in the middle of the province where it's called like Bay James. Then there's trout, walleye, pike. It's a little warmer lakes, rivers, and it's great fishing. But the best fishing is when you start to go up like what I call northern Quebec.
What would be northern? What's a city near in northern? What would be a city up in northern?
It's Nunavik.
Nunavik. Okay.
Yeah, and every river that flows into the Ungava Bay is a magical river. You have either Atlantic salmon rivers, Ciron brook trout rivers, and Arctic char rivers. And I've experienced it like we're talking about a lot of about Atlantic salmon, so of course it's really good.
Yeah.
But to talk about another fish that's there is the Arctic char,
Yeah.
and that one it's like it's hard to catch though. It's the same concept as the Atlantic salmon. If you're fishing it in the river, it's coming up the river, it's there, but it doesn't want to eat and take your fly as food. So it's all their instincts from the eating in the ocean that they're probably going to take the fly just because of that instinct that's still in their mind. So sometimes you got pools like there can be pools with thousands of char and you're catching a fly and he's not taking it. And then you can try small fly, big flies, but at the end of the day, you end up catching some, and it depends on what rivers you are. But it's a really strong fish, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's really really good to eat.
Oh, it is.
Like I wouldn't keep Atlantic salmon because it's so like for me it's so prestigious. But when you see a pool and there's like 2,000 Arctic char in it, and you catch one, I've eaten one, and but even up north they're gonna install a 100% catch and release in a lot of places.
For char?
Yeah, for well, like outfitters, I've seen outfitters. Like I went last year to like Greve River. It's insane, but they were authorizing people to keep, if I remember right, one or two trout and one or two char. But I was like, man, these fish are so beautiful. You shouldn't do that anymore. And thanks God, like they've seen the resource go down and only catch and release now. And it's because the people were scared that clients wouldn't come anymore.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like to bring back a fish from like
Yeah.
the other side of the world in a cooler and going back home, like I don't know, if you want to eat a wild one, find one near your place that it's not going to damage. It's weird. Like it comes back to that opportunity of being able to keep one, but at the end of the day, if you take it off, are you going to stop fishing because you can put it back? So I think what's fun about it is people are not going fly fishing for the concept of eating. They're going there because they love it. And hunting, you kind of have no choice. You need to start to go, and if you're not going to eat the animal you hunt, I don't think you should go
No,
hunt for sure.
I agree. Yeah, I think the trophy hunting thing is kind of crazy. The fact that somebody's out there killing an animal just for a trophy and not.
But I'm seeing like that fly fishing mentality. More hunters are coming into it, and now I'm starting to see like wildlife observation. It's like, yeah, if you're a good hunter, you're going to be able to get up close and personal with those animals. And I've seen a lot of people go out now. They're not hunting. They don't have a gun, and they're just going out there to capture the moment and share it with people. And there is actually a trip we're doing up in northern Quebec. The hunting stopped. It's in the Leaf River, and it's the migratory caribou. And you used to be able to hunt the caribou and fish for the Atlantic salmon.
Are you an avid angler looking for the perfect fly selection? Or perhaps you've just started out fly tying? Smitty's Fly Box offers a monthly subscription service that delivers a range of flies, fly tying materials, and fishing accessories. They tailor their selections based on your fishing location, ensuring you get exactly what you need. And Smitty's isn't just any fly supplier. They've been in business for over 3 decades, delivering quality and expertise. I can personally vouch for their quality, having picked up some dry flies, and they were perfect. It's the perfect time to stock up on flies for your next adventure. Check out their offerings at smittysflybox.com. By subscribing, you're not only getting top-notch flies, but you're also supporting a small business that had a significant contribution to the fishing community. Remember, that's smittysflybox.com, and let them know you heard about them through this podcast. But the caribou, I've heard that, right? Caribou numbers have taken a little downturn, right?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think it's like the Inuit took back the rights to this really amazing animal where I believe there was a lot of lack of respect. Like people were going up there and shooting arrows and missing, and they didn't like the outfitter was gaining a lot of money from bringing people to hunt the animal, and I don't believe there was a lot of sharing with the communities. In fact, yes, the herds were going down, but at the same time, I think it was time for the Innu to take back like what is their right, like, and it's a sacred animal for them, and for other people, they were going up there, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then forgetting that. So I think if ever it comes back, it's going to come back with a good collaboration and communication and an understanding of what territory you're setting foot on and what is this animal for the people who live here. And I think that was forgotten. Like you come out there, you pay 10 grand, bang, 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 and you come back. No, it's not that. That animal is sacred, like for.
Yeah.
So anyways, to come back to the story, it was like, I think we could actually sell like without the hunting and bring people here to experience what it looks like to be integrated in this caribou migration where they can take photos and they can fish at the same time. And it worked. It's building and it worked. So
that's it.
The animals are still there. You can't hunt them and you're still charging the same price. But you're not harming the territory.
Catch and release. Yeah. I mean, that's catch and release hunting, right? That's kind of what it is.
Yeah. You could say shoot and release, and the shoot is like in terms of a camera. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, shoot and release. Yeah. Dang. So, and when you look at Quebec, it just size-wise, I'm not sure how exact this is, but I mean, it's massive, right? It's the size of basically the whole eastern part of the United States. right? That's how big
It's
Quebec is.
crazy,
How do
man.
you break that down when somebody's saying, "Hey, I want to be going up. I want to go up to Quebec to check it out." Where do they start as far as choosing where to go, what to fish? Because it's pretty much a lot of it where there's no roads up in the north part.
Yeah, well, there are roads. I mean, the main way, if you want, like, depending on what type of angler you are, let's say it's easy to break it down. If you want to come for Atlantic salmon, you're gonna go like on the website where it's called Salmon Quebec,
Oh yeah.
where you can have access to all the information about the rivers. And what's great about here, every river has its own, like we call it ZEC, so it has its own employees and operations. So
Mm.
it's really protected, and you have to pay a different amount for every river. So all the information is online, and yeah.
So
So
that's just for Atlantic salmon? Is that just
yeah,
Atlantic?
yeah, so that makes it easy. You can get all your info and decide where you want to go. You can call, have the info. That's super good. If you want to go in an outfitter, you're going to go on Quebec Outfitters, and then you're going to be immersed in, like, there's thousands of outfitters for everything you want to do. So if you want to go for pike, then you can look into it. The information is all there. And after that, there is also like national parks, and it's a government owned company. It's called CEPAC. You can also go on that website and write what you want to do. And from camping to fishing, they have everything you want to do. And the thing that is more complicated, like the concept of like a free roaming fly fisherman and
Yeah.
fishing in something that costs nothing.
Yeah. Like DIY, like say somebody just drove up from New York and they just wanted to drive around Quebec. Could they do that?
I don't think there's an opportunity. Well, there is, but I mean, it's not like New Zealand and those places. Like all the Atlantic salmon fishing rivers, you need to pay.
Yeah.
There's an access right to it, and there's a couple of little streams here and there. For me, I think it's positive, but every good piece of water, there is an outfitter, there is someone managing it, protecting it.
Yeah. So you need to do your work ahead of time, schedule things, and get your trip set up.
Yeah, there is the DIY fishing, but you're gonna have to make sure you're paying your access to go to that place, and you can't, like, let's say you go to Gaspé and you see a river, you can't stop and fish. You need to understand that river, you need to have a pass to be allowed to fish there. Maybe the guy is in a private pool, maybe he's in a public water.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, it's good because there is a lot of people protecting and making sure it's being taken care of.
That's right. You have a good experience, right? So when you do fish it, it's a good experience. It's not like there's a
Yeah,
thousand people on the river.
yeah. It's like anything, like that's not always the good side to it, but like the more you're ready to invest, the more you'll have access to like unfished waters and crazy places. If you're able to afford it, then go and visit like up north the tundra, the Leaf River, the George River, everything that has to do with Labrador. It's, of course, it's outside of Quebec, but
Yeah.
the peak of like the Torngat's Mountains, it's kind of shared between Quebec and Labrador.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, even for me, any place I go and I don't understand it, yeah, just a Quebecer goes down to Montana and is like, "What am I allowed to fish? I'm allowed to fish." And
Yeah.
maybe get a guide, maybe get a buddy, maybe try to find somebody who knows about it. But just coming out here and trying to
That'd be hard to
learn.
do. That'd be hard to do on your own. What is so you got Labrador kind of to the east. How is Labrador different from, say, northern Quebec, or is it all very similar as far as fishing opportunities?
No, it's very similar. Like you get the, like, all Labrador. It's like on the. It's like it's like a point. It's like a triangle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird little chunk. It feels like Labrador just went in
Yeah.
there and took out a little chunk of Quebec.
To the left is the rivers flowing into the Ungava Bay, and to the right is the rivers flowing into the Atlantic Ocean. So the fish are just kind of coming in and out. So I think Labrador gets a lot of smaller rivers with amazing runs of smaller salmon.
Hmm.
And I think the Ungava Bay has its own population that are not even going back to Greenland. Like, they're just coming out and staying in there and going back into the rivers. But it's very similar. But there are more, the side of northern Quebec. You have more that tundra feeling, and everywhere I went into Labrador, there are trees, and it's more.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's more right forested versus the tundra. This is like open rangeland. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Ungava Bay, like you have the impression you're on the moon in
Oh, that's
certain
awesome.
places. So I don't feel I'm in the same area at all.
Right, it's different.
The fish, there's something to them that it's a different genetics. Like why in Quebec is there like the Grand Cascapedia 40-pound fish, and 40 kilometers away the other river it's 10 to 15-pound fish.
Oh, wow.
Is all the genetics of the river, so that's why it's important to protect that. And I think Labrador might have a genetics of smaller salmon, and the Quebec side bigger salmon.
Bigger. No, it's awesome. Can you drive up? I mean, how far north? Can you just drive all the way up north, all the way to the top in Quebec?
No,
No.
no, you can go up to the
How far can you go?
50 something parallel, I think, and then it's like James Bay. And
Okay, what's the furthest town do you think you can drive to out there up north?
the furthest, I think you can go to Blanc Sablon, I think.
Okay. Yeah, these names are amazing. I'm looking at them all. I'm like, I cannot pronounce a single name.
Yeah, I went to Lac Po. Lac Po is the last road I could take to then take a bush plane up to Leaf River. There are like crazy ways to like take the car, take the boat, take the car, take the boat, and miraculously like get to like Goose Bay probably and stuff like that.
God, it's so amazing when you look at a map and you put in, like you said, Lac Pole. There's the water. I mean, there's just lakes everywhere. I mean, it looks like the whole thing's almost a split between equal water and land. Are
Yeah,
those all lakes? Is those just lakes and ponds? And
yeah. If it's, I think it's one of the biggest. We are one of the biggest freshwater reserves in the world, and like producing hydroelectricity also is a big thing. Like those major rivers have been dammed, and I don't think it's good. But at the end of the
yeah,
day, created a lot of
or it's power.
yeah. But
Yeah,
no, it's wild. Like it's totally unexploited, and to go to Nunavik, definitely need a plane. And I think they're living up there an isolated life for sure. People who like all the Innu who live there, it's totally isolated. You need to take a plane to go out of there, and
yeah,
it gets really cold and it's harsh. And can you imagine they used to live in an igloo, eating like a seal fat and surviving after that? And
man.
I think, man, I don't.
You wouldn't
I
like to
look
do
at it, I'm
that.
like,
When you see that, that's not a life you would enjoy. The igloo.
I don't know if I think they loved it, and I think it was better than being put into a house that they didn't want to be in. It's like a part of the evolution, but I think if you understand how to build an igloo and you don't know anything else, I think if that's like the core of your culture, I think then you just like the you can build a good igloo or a bad igloo. But I see it in a different way. I'm like, if I was born there and I was taught that, I think I would enjoy it. But now I have the like, oh, man, we what happened to the planet? I'm
I
like,
know.
whoa, man.
Yeah.
When I go back to like totally remote areas, and I'm like, wow, I have the impression this is still like how it should be. I'm like, man, you go back home and you're like, we have phones, computers, everything is totally destroyed. And what electricity brought, is it good? Is it bad? And so, I mean,
I know.
I love it when I have the chance to go to like totally like
Disconnect.
disconnect wild places. But
Yeah.
I'm like, where I live, it used to be wild. Like probably if I would stand here without what everything that's broken, there would have been a moose and a deer and a
Yeah.
stream down there.
What town are you in now?
I'm in Stoneham. Yeah.
Stoneham. Okay.
Stoneham is just like a 20-minute drive up north from the Quebec City.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're right there. You're right near quick. I see it. Yeah. Stoneham.
Yeah, I went to Montreal like to for a certain part of my life when I had my company Focus, but that was too crazy. Like Quebec is great because it's really wild. Like you have a little city, and but 20 minutes away in any direction, you can be in full wilderness. You can enjoy fishing, hunting, camping. So yeah, I wouldn't be in a place where you need to go 2 hours out.
No.
It's not for me. Like the city life, I think it's something that I don't really.
Yeah.
When like I'm 100 days, I'm in the wild, like trying to connect with the fish, the
Yeah.
animals, the culture. What I believe is it's real, and then you go back to like a board meeting of what you're gonna do with the, and like I'm like, man, what's that, man? What does this mean?
God.
Like creating a design and that, and I'm in between because I capture stuff and moments and I film them and I take them as photos, and then I share them to show them, and to we make money off of showing like this wild places and these wild fish. And I go fishing sometimes and I'm like, hey buddy, and can you take a photo of this? And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's kind of affecting the moment, but it's my job. And I think it's growing, it's really growing a lot, that aspect of like showing and getting a like and putting value to your capture. And it's hard to judge, like, because for me it's becoming kind of my way of life, and I'm making money off of that. But I think it didn't exist before, and now I'm like, are you going like now it's the turkey hunting, and everybody's like photos are everywhere and taking the time to take
Oh
the
yeah.
photos.
Oh, they are. Well, you're doing it though in the way I think I always look at it like the fly fishing of people complain about, some of these areas where now there's more people out there fly fishing your spots. But the cool thing about it is that those people that are getting into fly fishing, they likely will also be getting into conservation down the line.
Yeah,
Do you
for
feel
sure.
like that's kind of what you're doing out there, even though you're getting more people? There's more people doing it out there, but you're like, I think you said that earlier, you're turning them into people that are going to protect the habitats.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was like in a meeting with my creative team, and I'm like, I think we're gonna do it. We're never gonna show a fish out of the water again.
Right.
And I'm like, that means like less likes, less visibility. But if we do it and we do it long enough, everybody's gonna start doing it because we're gonna lead by example. So the same was like, we're never gonna show a dead animal on our platforms. But all those changes, we make them before it's the way to go. Let's say like catching a big fish and taking it out of the water and showcasing it. That's what's going to give you like visibility and probably reach and shares and maybe sales.
Mm-hmm.
But the right way to go about it is probably like bringing it into shore, taking off the hook and not even touching it, and choo,
Yeah.
that's a really
That's
good
it.
release. So it's to say, it doesn't matter the size, it doesn't make you a better person, it doesn't make you more important. You think it is because you like 20 people told you wow, and 1,000 people put like. But if you take that out of the equation, you need to have and find the fun part of all of that adventure without sharing it now. And it's hard for the kids because they're born with phones. They
Mm-hmm.
see YouTubers, TikTokers. It's so when you integrate that into the fishing, of course, the more time handling a fish is bad.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna all have to act in that direction for sure, because
I agree.
there's more and more people buying a high-end camera and taking the time to take that big photo. The camera's in the bag. Oh, wait a minute, we'll keep it in the net.
Right.
Oh man.
I know. Well, I think it's all education. We had Marshall Cutchin on in episode 293 on mid current, and he was talking about, I think back in the day, I can't remember when it was, but they started doing that, not showing any fish out of the water in their photos. And I think Orvis does it. And at the time, I think people, it seemed crazy, but right, I think more and more. And then you have the keep them wet, which I think is more about obviously just educating people, maybe that don't even have any idea, because I think you can take a fish out of the water for a little bit of time and get a photo.
Yeah, well,
Right?
it comes from both ends. It's also to educate people to say those likes and those comments won't make you a better person, won't change anything. It's all fiction. It doesn't matter.
No,
You're taking the photo so you can have likes and like the next, wow, you caught that big trout. So if we can take that out of the equation, they wouldn't take it out of the water.
totally. Well, the crazy thing about the photos is too, with the photos is that now that it's all on your phone, it's not like back in the day where you would have a photo album. People, like, these photos are almost disappearing anyways because nobody's going to download their
Yeah.
1,000 terabyte hard drive.
No, but yeah, for me, it's the same. It's like I can't tell people not to do it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're doing
So
it.
I need to make sure when I'm going to say it, and going to make sure it's part of what I'm going to do now. And then I'm going to be able to say it, because even then, sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, I'd like to show that fish to, like,
Yeah.
the way to go is to handle the fish as less as possible. But we also created this world where, like I said, skateboarder who does a 20 stair handrail, he's not going to do it if it's not filmed, because he's going to risk his life.
Right.
Before, people would risk their lives just for the fun of it. But today, with a phone in your hand and everything, it's the whole game is changing, and we need to understand it's also happening in the hunting and fishing space where people are going out there to film their hunts, film their fish, enjoying sharing it. But when it comes to like skateboarding, I don't really mind. But when it comes to around with the wildlife, there is an impact for sure.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I wanted to show. I love when you talk skateboards because that's something we had an episode and I had a little bit of experience with that. But I always go back to episode 407. David Gravett, we got a bunch of hate mail on that one because he's a pro skateboarder and he's into fishing and stuff. But it was really interesting because his background. I mean, he's just like he's in surgery like 80 times and stuff like that. But what was it like for you with skateboarding? Just to take this tangent a little bit. Was that something?
Me, it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing because, like I said, that's where I learned how to eat and get back up, and it made me much stronger. And it's like you go into the street, you're alone, it's you against yourself, and you build a crew of friends.
Yeah.
But the only way you're gonna evolve is through your like learning it by yourself. It's fully like independent sport, and you learn how to work hard, achieve complicated things, and get back up. So me, that's what I believe I was going to do in my life. I didn't care that much about school when I got my first skateboard and skateboard. But then like I said, I got hit. I was sponsored when I was like 14. And then from 14 to 16, I was believing I was going to become really good. And
wow.
The first filming was through that. We were filming ourselves and sponsor me tapes and all of that. So, but then I got hit by a car when I was 16, full on like brain trauma, crazy stuff. And then that's why I said, "Oh man, this idea is over.
Yeah,
what am I going to do?" And then that's where the camera came on board. I was already filming, and then I got $25,000 from the car, like SAAQ, because I was like injured on the road. So back in the days, that was in 1990, 97 or 98, and I bought the first Mac laptop and the GL1 and the fisheye, and that was about all the money was gone. And then, but I had the new gear, and I knew the athletes, and that's how it all started. And I learned all of that, and after that, I was fishing back then too, but I didn't understand that there was an opportunity to film fishing and and create a business out of it. So I did, like I said, for like 15 years, marketing production. Our films got pretty big, like to a point where we were known in the worldwide industry. But you need to remember, like skateboarding and snowboarding blew up really fast, and we couldn't compete against that. Like I wasn't able to compete in the film industry, and then the sponsoring. And what's fun about fly fishing, different to skateboarding, is that there became the concept of like professionals and big salaries, and you needed to have those guys in your films to achieve a good film and success. But in fly fishing, there are no superstars. I believe like nobody's getting like a pro deal of $1 million a year to fish for sage, unless I'm wrong. But
no, I don't think so.
That ego side, well, it's not only ego, but like, what would it be to be a professional like angler winning millions of dollars? There is in the bass world, but I haven't seen it in the fly fishing world.
That's conventional. Yeah.
I would like to know like who is the most paid sponsored fly fisherman. Like, is there anybody out there that
I would say
like,
I'm going to say it's maybe it's like a Yaku Lucas, right? Somebody, I just think of the names person that's even
but at the end of the day, he's probably making his money like off guiding.
He's guiding. And same with another, like there's a bunch of people we've had on the show that are big names, but yeah, they're either guiding or they're doing something else, right?
Like I said, they get some like 10, 15, 20 grand for wearing the gear and being an ambassador. But it's nothing like a competitive sport like you would think of a Shaun White, like what the millions of dollars like they would get, and the skateboarding and snowboarding and mountain biking. And so I'm glad it didn't come into that industry, because then you would have a lot of people trying to be like
you're right,
pro. I want to be what do you want to do in life? I want to be a pro angler. Yeah. Well, thank God fly fishing is not about that, because then everybody would start I don't know what they would want to do, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that ego part, or I'm better than you in fly fishing. And I think it's really like, that's why I love it so much. You can be good, but I mean, the fly fisherman in the world that never touched a rod also has the opportunity to catch the same fish you just caught.
That's right. That's right. That's
Because of
awesome.
luck.
This is great. There's a ton of stuff we're definitely not going to cover here. We'll send everybody out, like we said, to your website. I want to do a quick little or shout out segment, and this one today is presented by a guidebook. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with these guys. They wetflyswing.com/guidebook. It's basically a service where you can plug in any place in the country and find a guide. Right, that's the idea. And I just typed in Atlantic salmon in their site, and it popped up a couple of places that you've probably heard of. But what is your take on, like, first guiding? I'm sure you've had a lot of good guides. Are you always guided when you do your adventures, or are you doing some stuff on solo?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guided a lot of the times because I'm in the lodge, and it's like private water, and you need to have somebody with you. I don't believe I always need one, but a guide for me is a source of inspiration, because I'm like, you gave it all up. You decided to follow your passion. You know exactly the amount of money you're going to win. You know you're not going to win more than that. You know you're going to work like crazy, but you still decide to do that. So hands down, it's like we need more people like that.
Yeah.
They've always been like inspiring. They know the water, the flies, everything. So for me, I met so many different type of guys, but what I enjoy is that they all have that, like, it's the ultimate like passion, because you give it all up for something that is complicated and unpredictable. Like, I tell the guys, I'm like, how do you do it, man? Like, you know that tomorrow
I
it's
know.
impossible. Are you gonna call the guy? No. You're gonna still say there is a 1% chance tomorrow. Like, it's the same for hunting. The birds are not flying. The moose are. It's too warm.
Yep.
The salmon are not in the
I
river.
know. That would be stressful. Have you guided?
Well, I've guided like friends and stuff like that, and even that stressed me out. But it's more like a hosted trip. Hey, you want to go? I tried it, and I put that online, and I booked it.
How did it go?
Well, for the booking, it's perfect, but it creates this ball of stress inside of me. I'm like, I don't need that. I can't live with that. I'm like, I'm selling them like a dream that I don't control. And I'm like, man, how do they do it? But at the end of the day, you get used to it, and it's more than that. So you need to make sure you understand what you're selling, and you're not selling a catch. You're selling an experience.
That's it. Well, and for me, I've done a little bit of guiding, and my dad was a guide, my whole life. And I remember guiding a little bit. I never liked it, and it was a challenge. I always had that pressure and the stress. So I knew that was one thing I didn't like to do, but now we're doing some of these hosted trips essentially. And I see sometimes I get some of that same stress, where I'm out there like, oh man, if the conditions aren't right, like you said, the rivers are blown out, that's tough. So I feel like I'm almost doing the same thing, just not quite as hard though. Guiding is about the hardest thing you could do.
Yeah, well, it's just because of the like guiding, like for snowboarding, or guiding for hiking, or guiding for, but guiding for fishing or hunting, like, it's the most unpredictable thing in the
Yep.
world that you can imagine. And I have the impression it's also like pressing rewind on your cassette. Like you press play, hello, and the same questions every day. Oh, how is it? Okay, go back home, little sleep,
Yep.
rewind. If you don't feel good that day, the client doesn't deserve for you to act as a. So,
Yep.
man,
I hear you.
it's great, man. It's great that they are out there, and I know we've inspired a lot of people to go that way, because our films have always been about showcasing the importance of those people who decided to dedicate their lives to guiding. So I respect them, and I think there needs to be more. And I also like think I hate it when somebody like starts to say, "Oh man, that's so expensive." That guy's
I know.
Think about it. Don't do that.
No.
They're charging. There's nothing left at the end of the day. They got a boat. They got to find the way to go there. They work 12 hours. They do that and they do that.
I agree. I think it's worth. I think whatever they charge, it's worth it. They could be charging a lot more. But yeah, Fred, let's take it out of here. I really want to hear about this Stewards of the Land series, and really talking about the indigenous people, because I think some places, I think local indigenous folks get a bad rap, especially down in the U.S. There's places I think where people don't appreciate that. So I want to get your perspective on it. I feel like it's maybe different, but what's your take on that? Maybe talk about that series you did first, And then give me your take on where we're going with what maybe we can do to help those.
Yeah, my take on that is that I believe that, anyways, for me, and I look at my grandfather and my mother, I believe I have some indigenous blood. It's just that I don't have it officially. But they were here before us on almost all of the land. In terms of sustainability and in terms of respecting the land, they knew how to do it, and it's real. And the stories they share about the wildlife, the way they educate the young ones to go into the wild, how to harvest, everything is was right. Like there was respect, there was sustainability. They traveled with the wildlife. They wouldn't take more than they could eat, and they didn't waste anything. That's always inspired me, and I'm like, wow, and could you imagine back then? And then when I started, I seen like a lot of people saying bad stuff, and I said, you don't understand what it is to be taken away,
Right.
like
Exactly.
what is yours, like taken away. So you break that culture, and it was a really good culture. And then I said, everywhere we're going to travel, we're going to meet with them, we're going to go and see them, we're going to try to understand their culture, and we're going to try to keep it alive. So we did it a lot through our TV series, but then the series died, and then I said, what do I want to do? And I said, I want to build a new series, and all I want to do is every year go to one or two different destinations where I can truly connect with the indigenous people, showcase what they're doing so everybody can understand it. And the harm is done for sure, but we need to reflect upon it and go back to those stories and understand that there was a lot of respect towards the animals, and just try to turn it around. And
Yeah.
I don't know, reconciliation maybe. I'm involved in a lot of different projects, but stewards of the land is that I go to a place where it is owned and operated, the land, the outfitter, whatever it is, by the indigenous people, and I connect with them and I showcase like an aspect of sustainability, conservation, protection, and we gain from it, and then we can understand. Oh, that's how it is. Well, you take it like in Alberta, where it was the
Oh yeah. Bison. Yeah,
bison,
totally.
yeah, and they were free roaming. The indigenous people were there. They were harvesting them. They were wasting nothing. They were living off of it,
Yeah.
and that was on the shores of the Bow River. And then the Europeans arrive and just like we're just killing all the bison to make sure the source of food for the indigenous people. They would have no more food, so they would all die. Yeah, all those stories, and then you can see it on the shores of the Bow River. All the bones are kind of buried, and I shared that story with a local guide, and then I went to Northwest Territories, and now there is a preserved area and an indigenous community living out there, preserving the land, protecting it. And last year I went to Newfoundland once again to understand more of the indigenous people, the first people who were there. So everywhere I go, the first people who were on the land, who harvested it, who understood it, were indigenous people. Us as white people, we arrived, we broke it all up. We decided to imagine there is a new way we're going to manage it. It's not the right way. So, how do we get back to it? Because there's an issue on both ends. Because, okay, you want to take this away from me? Well, now that's the way I'm going to
Right.
act.
Yeah.
For example, somebody going to say something bad about seeing a way that an indigenous people harvest a moose because they did it like with their vehicle and they did it at night or something like that. But they said, hey, you know what? They were totally taken away all of the land where they used to hunt. They're not even allowed to hunt. So they still need that meat because that's what they need to eat. So they went to get it at night, yes, but it's because they had no choice. So it's really bad. I'm actually sad about it, but I find it's really fun to showcase it and to go back to those places. And now it's in all my projects. Like I'm doing a new documentary with the Atlantic Salmon Federation. I'm like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about the rivers, those places, those people. And before, instead of saying, "Oh no, let's not
Yeah.
go there,"
Yeah, I hear you.
you see. So I, I want to integrate it into my business. And next Monday, I'm actually putting out a new film, and we are collaborating with an indigenous organization that is trying to keep the indigenous art alive. and we are doing a special collaboration, and all the profits are going back to them to build and invest more in that school where they can keep the indigenous culture alive. And now I'm talking about the wildlife and the animals, but when you look at the art also, it was so amazing. And there's a lot to be inspired from there when you really start to understand it. And me, the region here, Quebec, it was owned and operated by the indigenous people. They were just, unfortunately, instead of working together, started to work against each other.
Yeah, and we'll send you got this a few series here. So we've got on your website at Hooké.
Yeah,
you got the TV series, you got the Stewards of Land. Everything's there, so people can check that out. What would be a message or take home somebody listening now that they could do to help indigenous people out there in the their area around the country? What would you tell them?
what I would say is read about it, understand it, and once you know about it, you're gonna want to get involved for change,
Mm.
because those stories are really harsh and they're really bad to hear. And there are also documentaries and films that showcase what really happened. And I'm like, remember, they were not a problem. They were respecting the land. We are not respecting the land, and they would have never built skyscrapers and
No.
like jet planes, and they were building from the land. And if they were harvesting an animal, they were making a house out of it,
Yeah, I hear you.
I think it's important to of course there is a bad rep. It's not war, but in certain places it's a type of war. It's like you're trying to take everything away from me.
Yeah.
It's a big subject. Like even here they were like they would take the kids away from the parents, and they were trying to make them become non-indigenous, believe in Jesus Christ and all that. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
what if it was the other way around?
I know.
We would be living in the total wilderness with respect to the land.
This is I mean, again, I don't want to leave this on a bad note, but I was, the Holocaust, right? The Nazi Germany and all that stuff, Hitler, in some of his writings, he attributed what he did to watching what the United States did to the Native Americans, right? How
Yeah,
we wiped them out. And he said that he took inspiration that said, hey, if they're doing it, that's all I'm doing here, right? So it's kind of this really crazy thing because we don't think of it that way. We don't think of it like a Holocaust, but I mean, that's essentially kind of what happened. Is that the same in Canada? Similar?
yeah, that's all the dark side of it. What I bring it back to is the people who enjoy the outdoors and the wildlife and all that. If there is a model to follow and like a Bible to read and the stories to tell your children, read about all those stories that the indigenous people had and how they presented the wildlife to their kids. And this is such amazing stories. Like just the raccoon, it's like it's a crazy story. Like he was behaving in a bad way. He was stealing stuff. Then the creator said, "If you steal and you behave like that, I will put you a bandana, and you will always look like a
Oh,
robber."
amazing.
So every animal has this good story. And
God, that's great. Where can we read about some of those stories? That's something I want to read about. All those types of awesome.
there are books. You need to go online, and they're like my daughter. She went to the library and she brought back a book.
My kids would love that. My kids would love reading those.
Yeah, it's more what it comes back to is to say there is a way to harvest and respect the land, and that's what they were doing, and now it's broken. But every human needs to understand. We need to go back to understanding, protecting, and harvesting and like nature in an intelligent way, because we ourselves created it as a sport, as a way to to show people. And I don't know,
Yeah, I hear you.
it's a whole like that would be a bigger subject. But me, at least, that's where my energy is. It's like they did it right, and I want to make sure I'm trying to do it right. And now I have a lot of friends that are indigenous, and indigenous tourism associations. We work with them, and I feel there is more openness to reconciliation. And my best and biggest dreams, one day more land will be given back, and we'll see. But it's yeah, there are so many
I hear it.
so many bad things on the planet, but at the end of the day, if we'll see it as anglers. You'll see it if the fish are not in the rivers
I
anymore.
know.
Well,
I always like to think of it as like optimistic, whether it's all the stuff we're talking about with the indigenous people or the habitats, is that, you have to be optimistic to see that there are some good things going on, even though there's a history and there are some trends of downward trends or whatever. But, there's
yeah.
still some opportunities for us to make this right?
Who was the first person to catch an Atlantic salmon in Quebec?
Oh, man.
It was an indigenous
Oh, it
person.
was. Yeah, right. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Joe Brooks, right?
And they showed the Americans and the white people where they were holding in the river and how to catch them. So I think that's the best way to start. It's like they were the first. So let's try to bring it back to that.
Yeah. Well, let's take it out here. One random one, because I don't want to miss the music or podcast kind of question. What are you into as far as music? Do you listen to music or more podcasts out there when you're on the road trip?
Oh man, I used to be a DJ, so
there
I
you go.
listened to music. Yeah, man, it was crazy. But I was a lot into electronic music, breakbeat, drum and bass, house when I was more young. But I would say now I'm becoming like folk country.
Oh, folk country. What would be something we pull up, maybe throw it on Spotify, throw in the show notes? What would be something to name?
I would like Charlie Crockett. I'm gonna go and see him like in 3 weeks, and I don't know why, I find he looks cool, and I listen to his music, and
Yeah, I'll check it out.
it's super good. And yeah, I'm not like the high energy music. I think it's it's back. It is my old life, and now it's just like slow pace, good music. I don't know why. I never thought I would enjoy country, but
Yep.
now I like it.
Well, I think country has evolved too, like a lot of things, right? I think I wasn't really into there was periods when it wasn't good, but I feel like there's a lot of cool, new groups out there that are doing, different stuff. So it's good. We'll throw a little Charlie Crockett in the show notes as we take it out of here. So, Fred, we'll send everybody out to hooké.ca. That's Hooke. I think a lot of people have probably heard of you, but we'll send them out if they have questions. And then, thanks for all your time today. This has been an awesome episode catching up with you, and look forward to maybe seeing you on another one here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in a couple of years.
Man, that was fun. So much fun. So much content. Fred's got a lot going on from his videos. I mean, just go over to this website right now. Explore. You got the Stewards of the Land. We talked about the TV series. He's got Hooké hunting. He's got the magazine and the clothing. If you haven't checked out the clothing, I want to give a shout out to this. You definitely got to check that fleece he talked about. It looks a little different. That's something I'm going to be wearing definitely this year to keep my arms from getting wet. So check it out right now. Hooké, let Fred know you checked in with him through this podcast. That'd be awesome. If you get a chance, please follow this show. You can do that on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Click that plus button, follow the show, and you'll get updated when that next episode goes live. And right now, that next episode is going to be Spencer Durant, the Untangled podcast. Spencer is helping run the show over at Midcurrent. He's got a whole bunch of things going on. He's going to dig into some tips and tricks, and we're going to hear Spencer's story finally, and this is going to be a good one. If you haven't heard, we've got a major thing you need to check out. This is what we're calling Wet Fly Swing Pro, but also we're just calling it the shop. So if you want to find out more about the shop and when we unveil this, you can actually go to wetflyswing.com/pro, enter your name and email, and you'll find out more information. I'm just checking around right now as we're building this thing. This is going to be an opportunity to come in. The feeling I'm going to get at the shop is just like, when you want to go and take this conversation further and hang out with some like-minded anglers and sit around, have a beverage, chat about fishing, and plan a trip and get the knowledge from the people that are planning these trips and are doing trips all around the country and even all around the world. This is what it's going to be about. So if you want to check out more, we're going to be launching this thing soon. It's going to be a limited entry process, so I'm going to only take a limited few to kick this off as kind of the beta. So check it out right now, Wet Fly Swing Pro, the shop. It's coming soon. Okay, thanks for stopping by today. I just want to let you know I appreciate you for hanging in with us all the way to the end. And I hope you have a great afternoon, great morning, or great evening, wherever you are in the world, even if that's way up in the northern part of Quebec. Way, way, way up the very tip of Quebec. You can't even drive up there. I wonder what's up at the very tip. What is the furthest Atlantic salmon river at the very tip of Quebec that you know of? Send me an email, dave@wetflyswing.com. Would love to hear from you if you have the answer to that one. All right, we'll see you on that next episode.